Today I am joined by singer-songwriter Benedict Cork, who has gained legions of fans thanks to his impeccable tracks, Have a Good Life, See You Never, and Easy, among several others. Benedict is here to chat about his brand new single Soulmates, which is amazing. It is a just infectious blend of electronic pop and gospel influences, and it's a real joy to listen to. So I'm excited to chat to you about that. I would love
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's jump back right to the start, the beginning of your career. How did you fall in love with music, and where did your journey begin in the music world?
I grew up in quite a musical family. I've got three siblings who are all musicians, and so it was kind of just like in the house. It was just what we did. And I just fell in love with playing the piano first, and then I fell in love with singing. And then when I kind of got to like 14, 15, I started taking it a bit more seriously, and then turned around to my parents. I was like, I think I want to do this for the rest of my life. And then that hasn't really changed. I think I'm really lucky that I just still love it. So yeah.
Fantastic. And when you were starting with the piano, were you going in with songs that you'd heard on the radio and songs you liked, or were you kind of trying to kind of come up with your own?
I actually started on classical piano, which was really fun, but it's very like disciplined. And my teacher was this amazing Bulgarian woman called Daniela Ganyeva. And she would sort of like gently slap my wrist if I played a wrong note. And it was amazing training. But then she said, if you seriously want to do this, you will have to practice 8, 10 hours a day on your own in a practice room if you want to be like a professional like classical pianist. And I was like, oh, that doesn't really sound like the life I want to live. So then I got into like pop music and jazz and singing and stuff. And that's when I kind of began songwriting.
Amazing. Well, I mean, shout out to Daniela. She's obviously kind of helped instill these skills in you.
Oh, I
Um,
love her. She's
yeah,
amazing.
amazing. What about your kind of your writing process? Are you someone that goes into the studio with a kind of a set idea of I'm going to write about heartbreak, or I'm going to write something really positive today, or you just kind of go in and feel, what in the studio?
I'm a big journaler. I love like journaling, whether it's late at night or first thing in the morning, just to kind of get things off my brain. So often songs come from that. It might be a little title or a sentence or phrase. But I also steal a lot from my friends. I'll go to the pub and like they'll say something. It actually happened with my friend the other day. He's just gone through this like, really sad breakup. And he was telling me about it. And then at one point he said he'd said to his girlfriend, or his now ex, he was like, I didn't fall out of love with you overnight. I fell out of love with you in time, in little pieces. And I was
Oh,
like, I'm so sorry. This sounds so sad, but I just have to write that down because that is amazing.
I mean,
And so
it's all
stuff
these
like
little
that kind of
nuggets.
get, yeah, exactly. And you never know when they're going to happen. It could be in the middle of like a really like trashy like reality TV show that someone says something amazing and like that's a song. So yeah, real life, I'd say.
Amazing. Well, again, and shout out to your best friend. There you go. um, is I guess it must be tough when you're writing about experiences and you're writing about relationships and people in your lives. Do you ever have that conversation, like, just so you know, this one was inspired by you, or do you kind of keep it ambiguous?
I do, yeah, sometimes. I There was a song that came out a few years ago called "The Lucky Ones," which was about my parents, and I just thought, even though it like paints them in a lovely light and they are lovely, I wanted to let them know that it was coming out before they heard it with everyone else. It just felt like the right thing to do, and I did also do it with an ex of mine, where there was a song I'd written like years worth of like, oh, it's so sad we can't be together, and then I wrote one kind of angry breakup song, and I was like, oh, I feel like you should hear this before I put it out. So I think I'll continue doing that so long as it feels like appropriate.
It sounds like the right approach. I had read that you had been working in Stockholm on a lot of the new music. Did because obviously you think Sweden, there's obviously ABBA, but there's Robin. There's so many amazing Swedish artists just now, and it's a real kind of hub of the sort of pop scene. Did being in Stockholm shape the type of music you were making?
Well, so actually, the album was made in London, but it
Okay.
started about 4 or 5 years ago when I lived in Stockholm for a little bit. I moved there for about 6 months just to kind of immerse myself in like Scandi pop music. And they're so good at music there. And it's very different to London. Sometimes they'll do 2 or 3 sessions in a day, which is a little much for me, but they're just so efficient. And I've always loved that style of music. I love, like you said, Robin and ABBA and Tovlo and people like that. So to kind of be living there and get a snapshot of it was really special. And then I've definitely taken that into kind of songwriting now and how I approach pop music.
How is your Swedish? Master the language when you were there?
Awful, awful. They're so good at English that they always wanted to practice their English pronunciation. So I was living with a Swedish family, but they wouldn't. I mean, they'd try and teach me like a word of the day or something. But I think the only words I learned was when I was cycling around. They teach me like swear words to swear at people if they were walking in the bike lane. That's it. So no, unfortunately, my Swedish is pretty shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is something to work on.
Yeah,
Let's jump on to Soulmates because it is a really standout track. And I'm guessing, is this the
thank
lead
you.
single from the album?
This is the lead single, although there will be other lead singles. But this is the first one. It's the kind of first taste of what the album's going to sound like. Yeah.
And going into that track, what was the kind of inspiration? Again, you don't have to go too personal, but what was the story behind Soulmates?
I was on the bus on the way to the studio with Justin Tailor, who's written and produced a lot of this album with me. And I wrote down on my phone, I wonder how many soulmates I've left behind. Like one of these like stupid like shower thoughts, but it was on the bus.
Uh,
And then I got to the session, we just started messing around with sounds and we had that little guitar riff and I sort of started mumbling over the top. And then I found my note on my phone. And I realized that that's such a big thing. It's like, right person, wrong time. And there's many people that I've met over the years that I was like, oh, we could have dated, but it just didn't work out for whatever reason, whether we're in different countries or one of us then got back into a relationship with someone we've been with before or something. Like there's so many reasons. So then that song kind of felt like a natural progression from that little bus idea.
it's a poignant line. It is. It does. It's got such a kind of a
Nice.
deep. It's got a really kind of deep sentiment behind it. And actually, as I go back, you think, actually, I wonder how many soulmates there was. And you actually, it's quite a song that you can reflect upon. And I guess as a songwriter, it must be quite a rewarding thing when you've got fans and people that listen to your music going, actually, that really spoke to me.
Yeah, for sure. And it was interesting because when it first came out, a few people messaged online and said, is this about having multiple partners at once or things like that? I was like, no, no, no. I think soulmates can be your family, soulmates can be your friends, soulmates can be so many different things. And there's people that I grew up with who I still love so much that I've not seen for like 5 years. But when we do see each other, it's like we just slip back into being 15 again. I definitely consider them my soulmates, but we're just not physically there with each other all the time. And it's the same with romantic relationships as well. Like there might be people that I've met along the way that now we're just really, really close friends, and I still consider us soulmates, even if we're not like going out in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you can save the one about like multiple partners for like your kind of party banger.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Um, so thinking of the album generally, is Soulmates kind of indicative of the sound of the rest of the album, or is it just a kind of varied?
There's lots of different stuff on the album. That's what's really nice about making an album is you can play around with a lot of different sounds. I think before I've always made EPs, which is normally 4, 5, 6 songs, and you can start playing around with stuff there, but you want it to sound quite cohesive. Whereas on a full 45-minute album, there's some songs which are kind of, I guess, more traditionally my sound. And then there's some songs I've really tried to push myself and do something outside my comfort zone. And then that's also reflected in the live show. So it means that now, hopefully, the live show will have loads of different layers and we can kind of cherry pick, songs from the past and songs from the album to make a really, really dynamic show. So that's been part of the fun of it is like playing around with genre.
You'd mentioned there about the EPs. What prompted that decision to not do another EP, but to actually think, okay, this is like 10 tracks or however many tracks worth for an album?
It felt like the right time. I've always wanted to make an album, but we live in a culture now where albums are quite tricky to get people to listen to. I'm the same. I have my favorite artists, and sometimes they'll put out an album, and I will listen to it, but then I'll cherry pick my favorite 3 songs and put them on my playlists and stuff. And I don't like that about myself, and I don't want people to do that with this album, but I know that that's how people consume music now. So I think if I'd have made an album 2 or 3 years ago, it would have been really tough to kind of get people to hopefully sit down and listen to the full set. Whereas now, you know, we're going to release it in a way that gives each song its little moment. And then hopefully by the time the album comes out, it will all make sense kind of thematically as well. But I don't think I would have been able to do that a few years ago. So yeah, it's definitely still a challenge, but it felt like rather than just make another EP, it felt like the right time to kind of go, right, this is my debut album. This is what I'm about.
I love the fact that you release your music on vinyl because obviously this is, an old format that's regained a new lease of life. What is what is it that draws you to vinyl? Because obviously it is more inconvenient to listen to. I've got a record player and I do love it, but it's so easy and I'm like, I can just play this from my phone. But actually, there is something quite nice about putting on a record. What is it for you that draws you to that form?
I liken it to books. I respect people who can get through like 6 books in a month and they have their Kindle and they're on the tube and they're just like reading through. But I love the feel of a real book and the smell of I love the smell of a new book. Like that's such an addictive smell to me. Now I don't actually have a record player, but I
Oh,
do have all my records lined up on my wall. And I want to think that one day I will get myself a record player and it's almost like a collection of art, you know, like I'll probably get my first 10 favorite albums and just stick to that to begin with. But then when you put a record on a record player, it's a bit of a ritual. And
yeah.
I feel like you maybe listen to it in a different way. You might still be like, listen to it while you're cooking or listening, but
Mhm.
it still feels like an event. Whereas my playlists are more like background music. It's like while I'm working out or while I'm going for a walk or while I'm on the tube. But placing like the vinyl on a record player just feels quite special. And I think I'd like to think that I'd reserve that for like some of my favorite albums, hopefully.
It's an interesting thing you said that because I think with when you're playing music on an Alexa or a phone, it can follow you around whatever you do. So you're never really giving it your full attention. It's always a kind of background to things. Whereas with a turntable, it's one place. So you do have to sit and actually you're there, you're listening to the music. You could be doing other things, but you're kind of there because the music is there. So it's interesting instead of music being with you, you're being with the music. Um, so
Yeah,
they nice to
yeah, for
think that
sure.
people can kind of sit and listen to your album, and that can be the main activity they're doing as opposed to a side thing. Um,
Hopefully, yeah. And I've been at people's houses where they've sat down and gone, you have to listen to this record, and we'll put it on. And yes, you'll still maybe talk over the top and point out little things, but it's almost like showing a friend a movie or something, or like your favorite restaurant. It feels more special. Whereas when I've got friends over and having dinner, I just put a random playlist on, and we're like, okay, there's some music playing. But like a record player feels like something you like gather around, and you're like, oh my God, listen to this song. It's my favorite one, or whatever, you know.
um, I need to ask about touring because obviously you've mentioned the live show. Can you give me any heads up on where you're going, what to expect, what time?
Yeah, so uh I love touring. I mean, I'm saying this as I've just finished, and you can probably hear I've got like the post-tour lurgy. Like I had a month's worth of like madness, and then I finally got back like a few days ago, and it's just gone. But I still look back at it so fondly, even though I can't really speak. But next year, when the album's out, we're gonna go to more cities than I've ever done before, which is really exciting. So we'll go back to some of the ones that I love going to, like Amsterdam, and we're going to go back to Berlin and obviously do London and Manchester and things like that. But we're also going to test out some new cities. So we're kind of booking that all in now and confirming that. But hopefully in the next sort of few weeks to few months, that'll all be confirmed. And then, yeah, we'll put it on and we'll announce it.
Watch this space. Um, the album. Do we have a day or a title even?
There is a title. I'm still like workshopping it, you know. I don't have to commit for a little while yet, so there were a few options, and I've got one that's really stuck, but I'm not ready to kind of like put it out into the
World.
universe yet, just in case. And then there is a potential date, but again, I don't want to say it in case it slightly changes. So it will be next year, and it won't be too long. But I also, like I said earlier, I really want to give each song its little moment,
Yeah.
so that it's not just hi, try and listen to all these songs all at once. So yeah, there'll definitely be a few more singles before the full like project comes out.
You often wonder that with artists when they put out an EP or an album and it's kind of there and maybe they've toured it before, maybe they're touring it after. Quite a strange feeling because I'd imagine it's such a build up and then the album's out there and you don't really have the same control over it. It's the music is out for the people and it's not yours anymore.
Yeah, I've always found releases very anticlimactic, and that's no one's fault. It's just you spend, I mean, with this album, like it's all been written for at least a year, and it's now been recorded for a few months. And by the time it comes out, it'll have been a long time between recording and it being finished. So there's all this build up to the moment, and then to be honest, release days. I feel like release days 10 years ago would probably be quite rock and roll. You probably go to a bar and be like, "Hey," but release days these days are just like you sit on your phone trying to like tell people to listen to it, and it's lovely because people
Yeah.
are often saying their first reactions about stuff, but it can also be a bit like, "And what next?" You know. So I think what we're going to try and do is put the album out, and then I want to go on tour straight away. So then I can like actually meet people and connect with people and sing the songs live and hopefully like present them in a way that they like were originally tended to be like presented live as well. So that'll hopefully help with the post-release blues, which I've had with every single EP so far. So I'm like building myself up to it.
Like your children leaving home to go to university, you know, you're left.
Honestly, yeah, that's the best analogy I've heard. Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah.
I would love to think more generally about your career now, and what are the kind of the main moments that you have to pinch yourself and think, "Wow, that happened."
Oh, I'd say there's been a couple. I think the very first song I put out about 5 years ago now was a song called Ghost. And my friend actually sent it to Elton John. And then he played it on his radio show and said some really, really nice things. And I've literally ridden with that quote that he said on his radio show for like 5 years now. Like I'd love it. Every time I've got a little clip on it of it on my phone. And if I'm ever feeling down, I'll just go back and be like, well, actually, Elton John says I'm great. So, so that was definitely a moment, and really cool that that happened on the first song. Like that was such a yeah, because I've always like idolized him. He's incredible. And then I guess more recently would probably be playing at the Royal Albert Hall. I supported Adam Lambert, who is also incredible and has also been really generous with his like platform and been so supportive over the years. So doing that show with him and playing that room, which has always been like a dream of mine, was a proper little pinch me moment. And I've said it a few times before to some friends, but they were like, "What was it like?" And I've watched back some videos from that night, and I was very conscious of the fact that it was all going to go so quickly. So I look back and there's videos of me and I'm just staring around the room like this, like while I'm singing, just being like, "Take it all in, take it all in." But yeah, that was definitely a
Amazing.
pinch me moment.
Enjoy the moment. Absolutely, that's the right thing to do. Um, you mentioned Elton, obviously, and it must be a real honor because he is such a great sort of voice for upcoming talents. And you know, you think of the people he's championed, like Christine and the Queens and Sanchez, and a lot of really incredible artists that Scissor Sisters, like people, and it's, to be amongst them must be quite an awe-inspiring feeling.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's just so it's such a testament to him as well that he's at at this point in his career he could just like be like, all right, bye everyone, but he's so willing to support new artists and actively like putting them on his radio show and talking about them, and it's really really cool. And I like he's I think recently he's championed like Olivia Dean, who I love, and there's loads of artists that have sort of come through his radar, and he's become like a proper tastemaker, and it's amazing. So yeah, it was very very cool to be included in that.
um, I would going to pry further. Um, do you have or what is your best unreleased song? It could be something on the new album, but what is the best unreleased song you've got sat there thinking this is amazing to share it?
That's the other fun thing about an album is revisiting old stuff. So I sort of gave myself like last year to my last EP came out, I think April last year. And then I was like, I'm just going to give myself the rest of the year to write and like produce this album. Um, but during that time, especially while like I was thinking about new sounds and like making a kind of a playlist of like what I wanted the album to be like, I found like old demos that were sitting on my laptop, and there's a couple of them that have made it on the album that just didn't fit a previous project, whether it was like sonically or thematically, whatever. And then it really did with this album. So there's one song, actually the next song that's coming out, which is quite an old one, but it's been sitting on my hard drive for about 5 years, but it's a really fun one, and I'm excited for people to hear it. And we completely reworked it from what it originally was, so that was a really fun process too.
Amazing. So we will hear it very soon.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say? I mean, I'm going to ask you to put your Elton hat on here or your Elton glasses. Um, who are the kind of underrated talents that are on your radar just now that you think I would love for people to listen to them?
Oof, I'd probably just say like friends of mine. There's a really lovely community of like London musicians and everyone's very supportive of each other. So they're not underrated at all. They're amazing. But Tours, the band, they're just like the loveliest, sweetest guys in music. I met them a couple of years ago on like a Zoom writing session, and then we've hung out a few times since. And they actually took me on their tour a few months ago, and I just love them. They're just really good eggs. And then my friend Hannah Grace, she's amazing. Scott Quinn, he's amazing. Just like good, wholesome, lovely humans. That's who I want to support.
Nice. What are your three essential island albums?
Oh, um, good question. I'd probably go like a Motown greatest hits. Just because I'm being a bit cheeky because then I get like loads of different artists, but that's what I
That's
grew up on.
sneaky. I like that.
Yeah, there was actually a Motown 50 CD, like, whatever, 20 years ago, that my parents had, and they play it around the house, and I loved because it had all the good stuff like Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, Lionel Richie, like yeah, just amazing songs. So definitely that, and that's quite feel good. So I'd probably have to have like a sad album as well, just to balance that out. So probably Adele 21, classic, and then maybe something a little bit. Oh, I know. One of my favorite artists is Emily King. I don't know if you know her, but
Okay.
she's incredible. She's like American singer-songwriter, and her second album, Scenery, is just like one of my favorites. It's so good. Every song is amazing, and it's very understated, and it's very minimal, but it's just beautiful, and it fits every mood. So I think that'll be good for a desert island.
Got a good spectrum going there. Yeah, absolutely.
We like variety.
Um, I need to selfishly ask because you've got a lot of Eurovision connections. So your sister is a legendary Suri. Um, you're supporting, or you have supported Duncan Lawrence in the past. Do you have any Eurovision ambitions yourself? What is your thoughts on the contest?
So Eurovision actually only came on my radar when my sister did it, and then I was sort of like sucked into this massive, crazy world. And it is so addictive, and it's so amazing, and it's such a cool, like distraction from some of the madness of the world. So now every year I have like a Eurovision watch party here, and I love it. Um, I think I don't know if I would do it. Just I don't know. Maybe never say never. I Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one
Yeah,
because I
it
still
is.
feel like in this country, people look down on it, and it's really sad, and they shouldn't. I mean, some of the best songs of all time have come out of Eurovision, and then
Absolutely. Yeah.
incredible artists as well. So I don't understand why this country, not everyone in this country, but a lot of people in this country kind of look down on it or see it as like a guilty pleasure, when
Yeah.
actually it's amazing. It's like it is literally the song Olympics, and it's so fun. So yeah, personally, I don't know. I have no plans to yet, but never say never.
The UK is catching up, isn't it, to the rest of Europe? You look at Sweden; they have their Melody Festival, and Norway have got their national, and all the Scandi countries and the Central European countries take it so seriously. And actually, it's a prestigious thing. And I think in the UK there does still seem to be that sort of scoff on Eurovision. Actually, it is such a kind of incredible pool of talent. But I think we're slowly getting there. We're catching up with the rest of Europe. Um,
I hope so. Yeah.
Anita's watching the moment where there was the stage invader and your sister being up there. What was going through your mind seeing that?
It's mad because I didn't even see it because we were quite far. Me and my whole family were right at the back of the arena, so we had to watch it back on our phones. I mean, it was mad. That whole night was just crazy from start to finish. But I'm just so proud of how she carried herself and continues to carry herself. Like she could have come out of that experience and bad mouthed anything. She's just such a lovely, warm, positive person, and she's taken all the good stuff from it. So just really proud of how she did in that performance and then how she's done in the years since.
Yeah, we love Siri. Um, so I'm going to wrap up with a quick fire round. First thing that comes into your head, nothing too stressful, hopefully not. So first one, favorite film.
Oh, it's a toss up between Bridesmaids and Devil Wears Prada.
The last song you listened to.
Probably Olivia Dean. I'd say Olivia Dean, hardest part.
Your all-time favorite singer.
Oh, Whitney Houston.
The biggest fear you have? It's gone dark.
Oh my God, it really has. I'm trying to like not think about it too much. I would say losing my voice forever. I can never sing it again. That's my biggest fear. Touch wood, it never happens.
It's lighter. A banger or a ballad?
Oh, a ballad.
Ballad. Your favorite animal?
Snow leopard. Just because I'm dressed as one today.
It looks cozy. Your
Thanks.
worst habit?
Oh, addicted to my phone completely.
Yeah, we all are. If you could visit another time period, what would it be?
Ooh, the Roaring Twenties.
That's yes. And last one, they're going to make a film of your life. It's going to happen. And who's playing you?
Meryl Streep, obviously, in a
In
lot
the
of
character.
prosthetics, but yeah, 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 yeah.
She could channel the devil wears Prada, really give an alternative twin.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah, exactly. Exactly. She just play, it'd be a one-woman show. She just play all the different characters. She play my mum, she play my dad, she play my granddad. Like, yeah,
And you
she
know
play
what
my
she could do
sister's
it?
dog,
Like
and she'd win an Oscar for it. Yeah.
multiple, one for each role.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly.
well, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure chatting to you. I'm so excited about the tour, the album, and all these exciting things you've got coming. And I really appreciate you kind of spending some time chatting with me.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Go enjoy your evening. Before you go though, where can people find you online? Where's the best place to kind of keep up to date with the music and things?
So it's Benedict Cork on everywhere. So Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, everything. It's all the same.
You've
Benedict
made it
Cork.
so easy for people.
Yeah, tried to.
Right. Well, thanks very much and enjoy your evening.
Thank you, you too.
Okay. Bye bye.
You know, it could have been